3 horrifying fates and no one survived. The shocking truth revealed at midnight. The clock struck midnight. The air was electric, thick with unsettling anticipation. Whispers filled the dark streets, rumors crackling like static. 3 chilling fates would soon unfold, like twisted tales from a nightmare. Anyone caught in their web would vanish without a trace, leaving questions echoing into the void. The stories of those who met their end were not just tales, they were warnings wrapped in skin-crawling mystery. No one understood the truth that lurked behind the shadows, and no one was prepared for the horror that awaited. From deep in the woods, a figure had been spotted, head twisted at an impossible angle, eyes wide with terror. Locals claimed they could hear his scream, an unearthly sound cutting through the night like a jagged knife. Every time someone tried to help him, he would vanish, swallowed by the woods as if the earth itself was hungry for more. Dare to venture near and you might feel the chill of death envelop you, a warning felt, but never seen. Those who tried often returned changed, their laughter silenced, eyes glazed with dread. As the story spread, an ominous tension wrapped itself around the town. In a small house on Maple Street, an unassuming woman began collecting the souls of those lost. Friends said she was just a sweet old lady, but anyone who peeked behind the curtain saw something darker, a swirl of shadows and whispered secrets. They claimed they could hear the echoes of the past, cries of those who crossed her. Each time someone came knocking, the door would open to reveal darkness, drawing them into her world. Either they'd emerge, wide-eyed and trembling, or they'd simply become another story to tell around the flickering fire, fading into myth. And then there was the legend of the lighthouse keeper, who had stood watch for nearly a century. He was a figure of folklore, flickering lantern light through fog. But now, people said his lantern burned black, and the light cast eerie shadows across the shoreline. Sailors vanished after seeing that light, swallowed by the sea, the waves closing over them like a gruesome farewell. Friends shared frantic whispers. The lighthouse calls them, they said, fear dripping from their voices. No one dared to find out what happened when the light went out. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The chilling cries of the night grew louder. Friends gathered under flickering streetlights, chattering nervously, faces ghostly pale. What if it chooses us next? Someone whispered, and an uneasy laugh broke the silence. But the shaking hands, the glances into the shadows told the truth. Fear laced their words. As the clock ticked, the weight of the night pressed down. Something unspeakable lay on the edge, about to unleash its horror upon them. Curiosity battled dread, a gnawing urge to uncover what was hidden left them hanging. As more unsettling signs appeared, a chilling wind carrying whispers, shadows lurking just beyond the eyes reached. The townsfolk were left to wonder, who among them would be taken? And what brutal truth awaited beneath the surface, just out of reach, yet so close they could feel its breath on their necks. The moon hung high, a pale sentinel casting a spectral glow over the frayed edges of Maple Street. It wasn't long before the stillness of the night shattered as a desperate scream pierced the air. Faces turned toward the sound, eyes wide and breaths held. A group of friends, emboldened by an unspoken agreement, hesitated before rushing toward the origin of the cry. Did you hear that? Sarah's voice trembled, her skin clammy with fear. It's just the wind, Danny scoffed, but even he couldn't mask the unease that curled in his stomach. The shadows around them felt thicker, like they were alive, watching. They ventured deeper into the heart of the woods, each step echoing like a heartbeat in the deafening silence. The trees, gnarled and twisted, reached out with skeletal branches, as though trying to snatch them back. Every rustle of leaves sent jolts of adrenaline through their veins. What if the figure is real? Whispered Jenna, her voice barely above a croak. What if stop? Danny shot back. We'll be fine. It's probably just some animal. But doubt seeped into the group like a slow poison. As they approached a clearing, the air grew colder, clinging to their skin. Then, suddenly, there it was, a silhouette in the moonlight, standing eerily still. Heartbeats collided with the rustling leaves, each thud resonating with terror. Is that? Sarah's voice faltered. Let us find out. Danny took a step forward, but Jenna grabbed his arm. No. We should turn back. The figure turned its head, revealing a distorted face locked in eternal horror. Eyes wide, mouth agape, he was frozen in a moment of raw, paralyzing fear. All at once, his mournful wail cut through the night again, shaking them to their core. They stumbled back, tripping over roots, hearts racing in a chaotic rhythm. Run! Jenna screamed, and they scattered, tumbling over each other as panic ignited their legs. It felt like the earth itself was in pursuit, the shadows looming closer with each frantic stride. They didn't stop until they reached the edge of town, breathless and wide-eyed with terror. It's just a trick of the light, Danny panted, but even he could barely articulate the words. I saw him. That scream, it felt like it wrapped around me. Jenna gasped, trying to catch her breath. The fear etched deep into their faces like a permanent mark. That night, Maple Street was charged with unrest. Unspoken fears glided beneath conversations, invisible shackles binding them together in silent dread. As stories swept through the town, each tale grew darker, embellishments spinning in the wind. The lighthouse keeper, the old lady on Maple, and the figure in the woods merged into a nightmarish tapestry that seeped into their dreams. Days bled into nights, and the shadows seemed to thicken. Morning arrived with gray clouds hanging low, but its light offered little comfort. Suddenly, the silence was pierced again. An urgent knock echoed through the old woman's house. She opened her door, the darkness swirling behind her. Friends had vanished one by one, drawn into her lair, victims claimed by something so sinister it had all but consumed the town. Now, it was one of them, trembling and fearful, standing on her porch, fate teetering on the edge of her decision. This can't be happening. I don't want to go in. The young man pleaded, eyes darting, scanning the darkness just out of sight, but behind him, a sickening realization spread like wildfire. Assessing the encroaching shadows, he understood, once in, the darkness had no intention of releasing him. Would he take the step forward? Or would he run back into the woods, the haunt of the twisted figure waiting to claim him? As the door creaked open, the echo seemed to whisper questions of its own, pulling the threads of fate tighter around them all. The clock ticked ominously in the distance, all too aware of the impending midnight hour. What fates awaited them now, tangled in shadowy uncertainty? The young man stood on that threshold, heart pounding like a war drum. The darkness behind him twisted, swirling like smoke, hungry and relentless. He could feel its breath, cold and taunting, beckoning him toward the unknown. Please, his voice cracked, pleading into the inky void. The old woman's figure loomed in the doorway, a silhouette against a backdrop of shadows that danced like phantoms. Step inside. You'll be safe, she whispered, her voice velvet smooth yet coated with a sinister undertone. Or perhaps you'd like to join your friends out there, lost forever. The threat hung heavy in the air. He took a half-step backward, mind racing with images of those vanishing townsfolk. His heart sank at the thought of becoming another story, another whisper carried by the wind. But just then, a shriek shattered the silence, a bone-chilling cry from the woods. Without thinking, he bolted forward, fear propelling him through the door and into the arms of darkness. The door slammed behind him, sealing his choice. Inside, the atmosphere was thick, filled with an insatiable dread. Candles flickered in the corners, casting long shadows that darted across the walls. A suffocating silence enveloped him, with only the soft crackle of the candles to break it. Sit, child, the old woman beckoned, gesturing to a threadbare chair that appeared almost too monstrous to touch. Let us find out what awaits you in the dark. He hesitated, glancing at the shadows that seemed to press closer as if they too were eager for his downfall. The air trembled with unseen energy, tight enough to make him breathe shallowly, his chest constricted by an unseen force. I can't be here," he stuttered, fear bubbling in his throat like bile. "Would you prefer the woods?" Her voice had sharpened, morphing from a gentle coo to a predatory hiss. "They're hungry out there too, starving for souls." Just when he was about to turn and bolt away, the walls around him whispered. Whispers morphed into disembodied laughter, sending shivers crawling down his spine. Each laugh echoed with taunts, voices of those who had come before him, friends now lost eternally in the sinister grip of the night. "Join us, it's much better on this side," they called, harmonious and haunting, as if beguiling him with promises of truth hidden deep in the shadows. "No!" he shouted, covering his ears. "Let me out. I need to leave." The old woman's face twisted into a grin, devoid of warmth. "What's out there is much worse than what you will find in here. But the decision is yours. Choose." His hands trembled as he fumbled for the door, the tales of the townsfolk written in their eyes flashing before him, lost, hopeless, and forever cursed. In this moment, he could sense the truth: there was no escape, only degrees of surrender. With a sudden urgency, he threw himself against the door, thrusting it open, crawling back into the night. But as he stumbled out, their cruel laughter followed, a harbinger of dread that hung heavy around him. He raced back into the woods, where the shadows deepened, clawing at his heels. Yet, even as he sprinted, another sound crashed into his consciousness. The wailing cry of that figure echoed through the trees, more desperate than ever. "Help me!" It was a cry that reverberated with his own haunting doubts. Did he dare to return for the lost? Or was he sealing his fate by simply running? As the night continued to thrum with palpable tension, the forest felt alive, pulsing with dark energy, as if it had been waiting for him to decide. There was no denying it. Something was prowling, watching him, waiting for the moment to strike. In that heart-stopping instant, he paused, caught between hope and despair. The air grew thick, anticipation swelling, and a voice murmured right behind him. "Turn around, it's looking for you." What would he discover if he turned? Or would that decision trap him forever, entangled in the horrors of Maple Street? He turned slowly, every nerve ending screaming for flight. The shadows pulsed as if alive, eager to swallow him whole. They twisted and writhed, merging with the deepening darkness that enveloped the forest floor. His pulse thundered in his ears, drowning out the doubts that whispered insidiously. What if the figure was a trap, a lure to pull him back into that cursed house? But the voice that called for help sounded so real, so full of despair. It was almost painfully familiar. As he stood frozen, he could feel the night thrumming with danger. He was not merely an observer, he was part of something bound to this wood and the secrets it harbored. The wind whipped around him, carrying his breath away like a thief in the night. "Help me!" The cry came again, closer this time, echoing through the trees like a haunting refrain. It shook him from his stupor. His instincts screamed to run, yet something else, a fierce determination, drove him to move forward. Pushing through the thick underbrush, he sprinted toward the sound. It was impossible to tell where it was coming from, the cries seeming to come from all directions, weaving together in a macabre symphony. "Help me! They're coming!" The voice clinched his heart. He followed it, weaving through towering trees that loomed like sentinels against the night, their branches reaching outward like skeletal fingers. Suddenly, the ground shifted beneath his feet, and he stumbled, falling onto damp earth. He froze, feeling the ground pulse around him, an unnatural heartbeat that sent fresh waves of terror coursing through his veins. Was he still alone in this dark labyrinth, or was something else awakening? Scrambling to get up, he glanced backward instinctively, and what he saw made his blood run cold. Shadows began to seep from the trees, coalescing into vague, shimmering forms. There were more figures now. They swirled close, faces contorted in agony, silent screams plastered across their ghostly visages. Join us, they breathed, their voices a chorus of despair, laced with temptation. Their fingers thin and grasping reached for him, pulling at the remnants of his courage. No! Stay back! He shouted, stepping back instinctively, heart pounding against his ribs. Yet unbeknownst to him, one figure, cloaked in deeper shadow than the rest, stepped closer, eyes glinting with a sinister light. "Help us, and they will help you," it hissed, its voice like broken glass. He shook his head, trying to drown out the haunting offers laced in the air. The cries were still there, mingling with the whispers of the wraiths surrounding him. They were waiting, no longer asking, but demanding, a choice that felt cruelly inevitable. From the corner of his eye, he caught movement, a flicker near the base of an ancient tree. It was there, a silhouette of a struggling figure. Desperate and familiar. His heart exploded with recognition but filled with dread. Then it hit him, a revelation that coursed through him like ice. "Is it you? Are you real?" The words escaped before he could stop them. The figure turned, revealing a face etched with horror and despair. It was someone he knew. His friend, trapped in this dark enigma, mirrored by the shadows. "Don't listen to them. Run." The urgency in his friend's eyes was raw, a plea to escape the depths of this lurking nightmare. But could he truly leave? Each second stretched into an unbearable eternity as the shadows closed in, the choice he had to make weighing heavily on him. Would he save his friend, diving deeper into the depths of darkness? Or would he run, forsaking a familiar soul for the sake of his own life? With the shadows coiling tighter around him, he realized he had no more time to think. The moment had come for an irrevocable decision. But just as he opened his mouth to respond, a chilling laugh erupted from the shadows surrounding them, the sound a twisted promise of what was to come. "Only one of you will leave. Choose wisely what fate awaited them in the shadows." Would he risk everything to save his friend, or would he run, consumed by the very darkness he sought to escape? The moment hung there, thick with dread. The air crackled with an energy that felt both otherworldly and terrible. Every beat of his heart echoed in silence, urging him to choose. The shadows pressed closer, their whispers entwining around him like a constricting snake. "Do it. Save him," a frantic voice in his mind urged. But coupled with it was another one full of caution, a reminder of the horrors that had transpired in the cursed house. Could his friend even be real? Or was he merely another ploy of the darkness surrounding him? "Please. They're here." His friend's voice broke through the haze of doubt. Desperation painted the words, shattered yet hopeful. The figure behind him loomed larger, something shifting in the depths of its darkness, as though eager to reveal its true form. "Join us. You cannot hide." The growl was distinctly more potent now, laced with the promise of power and terror. He fought back, shaking his head violently. "No. I want to let you have him." In that moment, clarity pierced through the chaos, and an overwhelming wave of love for his friend surged within him. He felt it like a pulse in his veins. Every memory, every laugh shared, glimmered in his mind like stars struggling against the encroaching night. "Hold on!" he shouted, stepping forward, drawn like a moth to the flame of his friend's plight. "What are you doing?" His friend's voice was urgent, a raw edge within it that hung in the air, desperate and edged with panic. "Don't." With trembling hands, he clutched the nearest shadow, reaching out. Coldness seeped into his skin. The voices around him erupted into frantic sounds of laughter and lament. He closed his eyes, choosing to trust the bond they shared would illuminate the dark. In an instant, everything shifted. As his hands grasped tighter, he felt a surge of energy wash over him. Shadows recoiled, pulled away by a force he didn't understand. He opened his eyes to see muted beams of a silvery light begin to cut through the darkness. The figures shrieked, their faces twisting in horror as the clarity grew stronger. "Help! I can't hold it!" his friend pleaded, shadows clawing desperately at him from all sides. "Just stay with me," he shouted back, strength born from determination igniting his spirit. He felt the very ground shake, but he pressed forward, his heart racing with the weight of choice. He surged ahead, tearing through the fading grasp of shadows, feeling the heat of something ancient, alive. Take my hand. With one last push, he lunged toward his friend, the weight of the shadows now stirring around him like dying embers. But as he reached out, only breathless emptiness met him. Panic surged, and his heart sank. The shadows began to swirl violently, their grip was strengthening. He could feel fingers reaching for him, pulling him back into the abyss. It was then that he caught a glimpse of something unimaginable, a grotesque form emerging from the trees, lurking with unholy anticipation. The creature's eyes glowed with ravenous hunger, its mouth stretched wide in a mocking grin. "Be careful what you wish for," the creature crooned, the words slithering through the air like poison. "What do you mean?" he gasped, fear wrapping its icy fingers around his throat. Then he understood the choice was never truly his. He had already stepped into their game, a web woven in darkness and spite. "Only one of you will leave," echoed the voice of the shadows. But what if he held the key? As he turned back toward the flickering figure of his friend, he felt a rush of energy course through him, an undeniable connection that could either save them or doom them both. Was the bond between them powerful enough to withstand this nightmare? Or was he merely playing into their hands? The darkness closed in, more suffocating than before, and with a desperation fueled by love and fear, he shouted, "Together, we can break free." But would their combined strength be enough to overcome the darkness that threatened to consume them? Would he learn the truth of their bond before it was too late? His heart raced, a frantic drum echoing in the void around him. The creature lurked, its scent of decay and malevolence wrapping around him, stifling every breath. He felt the shadows drawing him in, a tide of darkness eager to swallow him whole. He clenched his fists, each pulse of energy that surged within him tightening like a spring, coiled and ready to snap. "Reach for me. Trust me." His friend's voice was a lifeline, a fragile yet powerful beacon cutting through the fog. But could he truly trust the connection between them? In his mind, doubt flickered like a faulty light bulb, holding him hostage. Could this bond weather such a storm? What if, in this twisted game of fate, his only escape would come at a price, one that could rip their friendship apart forever? "No!" he shouted into the suffocating shadows. "I want to let this thing take us." The ground heaved, and for a brief moment, the silvery light pulsed brighter, illuminating grotesque faces carved from the night itself. They whispered, sinister and alluring, "Join us, become one with the void." He blinked against the light, heart hammering in his chest, thoughts spiraling, "What do I have left to lose?" Then he remembered. Laughter that echoed through sun-drenched days, secrets whispered late at night. He recalled the warmth of camaraderie, of their dreams intertwined, the hope they both carried. He had to fight not just for himself, but for everything they were together. With renewed determination, he felt that energy within him blaze hotter. He took a bold step forward, his outstretched hand trembling in defiance against the darkness. A pinprick of light ignited in the center of his palm, a spark that seemed to whisper back at the shadows, "You do not own me." As he fought through the clutches of despair, the creature snarled, its eyes gleaming with sick amusement. "Is this fervor your strength?" How quaint! It lunged closer, the air between them suffocating, but he pressed on. "Stay with me," he cried, relaying his will to his friend. He poured everything he had into that singular connection, every heartbeat, every moment they had shared. Suddenly, a flicker of light erupted from where his hand met the darkness. It surged forward, a corona of brightness that caused the shadows to recoil, screeching in fury, "No! Together!" His friend echoed, matching the resolve in his voice, and right then the bond between them surged, tying their souls like chains forged in fire. The brilliance overwhelmed him, blasting through the encroaching shadow until it broke apart like glass shattering into a million fragments. But as waves of light washed over him, revealing slices of clarity in the murky night, he felt the ominous shift around him. The earth rumbled, a fracture spread beneath his feet. Not yet. The creature bellowed in outrage, its monstrous form shifting, vanishing into a flurry of darkness that filled the fissures of the ground. You think you want freedom? You will pay the price. The shadows shrieked, swirling into a tempest, the remnants of their power collapsing into chaos. As the ground split further, he felt despair clawing at his insides. What price? He screamed into the whirlpool of darkness, desperation flooding his voice. Sacrifice, the whispers echoed, delighting in his fear. Through the chaos, the flickering figure of his friend appeared, radiating strength. Whatever comes, we face it together. But deep down, a chilling thought curled in his mind: what else would be demanded from them? And would their united spirit truly be enough to withstand the horrors that awaited? The ground beneath them trembled violently, sending him sprawling. He fought to his feet, instinctually reaching out for his friend, but shadows surged between them, darker than anything he had ever seen. Hold on. The cry escaped his lips, but with the shadows thickening, it felt futile. As the darkness swallowed the brilliant light, he realized he was standing at the precipice, balanced between hope and despair. Would they emerge from this darkness, or would it consume everything? His instincts screamed that. The truth was far worse than he imagined. The silence pressed in as their fate hung in the air, thick with uncertainty. What awaited them beyond the shadows? And who would pay the ultimate price in their desperate bid for freedom? The darkness pulsated like a living thing, closing in with an insatiable hunger. He could feel it creeping through every crack, whispering sweetly while tugging at threads of hope. He locked his gaze ahead, desperately searching for any sign of his friend in the chaos. The shadows writhed, forming a solid wall that split the ground, trapping them in a chasm between life and that endless, consuming void. Stay close. He called, trying to push back panic. But the shadows only thickened, blood-curdling howls echoing around him, promising despair. His heart clamored in his chest, urging him to move faster. Each breath felt like inhaling a fog of dread. Vision blurred as the shadows danced, threatening to swallow his resolve. Just when he thought he might be dragged into the abyss, a flicker of light broke through the encroaching darkness. Was it a mirage? No, it was real. His friend, fighting through the suffocating blackness, a small but fierce glow in stark contrast to the void surrounding him. Don't let go. He shouted, reaching out, fingers straining to grasp that light, to solidify their bond amidst the chaos. We can beat this. His friend's voice rang through the tempest, fierce and unwavering. We have to believe. Remember our dreams. We'll fight together. Their words hung in the air, a lifeline amid despair. Their shared memories, joy, laughter, late-night plans that stretched into the dawn infused him with newfound strength. Feelings of deep-seated kinship flooded his veins. They had so much at stake, so many untold stories waiting to unfold. He flung his light forward, the burn in his palm widening, illuminating a path, urging his friend to follow, yet even as a path opened, the ground quaked, shattering further around them. What are you doing? He shouted into the cacophony of darkness, fear tightening around him like a vice. We can't let it take us. Fear is its weapon. His friend called back, anguish thick in his voice. You have to choose. Fight or be lost. He could feel the pressure building, dread twisting like a serpent around his heart. He had to make a choice. This was not just a battle against the shadows, it was against despair itself. What if, he thought, trembling, this sacrifice is too great? The darkness swirled with hypnotic allure, promising safety within its depths. Join us, it hissed, seductive and chilling. All you desire could be yours. No. He roared, shaking his head violently. This is not who we are. As though responding to his refusal, the darkness cracked, revealing even more grotesque faces, lost souls twisted in despair, their eyes wide with anguish. You are foolish, they lamented. You think you can save him? No one escapes the void. He faltered, a pang of fear striking him. Their faces were all too familiar, shadows of the bond he'd shared with those who once fought beside him. Would he end up like them? A mere echo of what he once knew? Focus. His friend urged, desperation creeping into his tone. Use your light. We're stronger than this. The fight inside him ignited anew. You're right. He yelled, rallying against the voices of despair. Together, we can repel it. With each shout, his internal flame grew brighter, surging from within. The golden light pulsed through the blackness, forcing the shadows to recoil, shrieking in rage. The ground trembled violently, but he stood firm, a pillar of determination, but as the darkness surged back, an eerie silence descended. All at once, the atmosphere stilled. Do you truly believe you can defeat me? The creature's voice echoed through the throbbing air, low and mocking. Let us make this interesting. The shadows began to swirl faster, creating a cyclone of darkness that threatened to engulf them entirely. I will take what is most precious to you. His heart raced, dread twisting tighter in his chest. What does it want? What will it take from us? The silence screamed, and with a bone-chilling realization, he understood the truth. The ultimate price was not just their friendship but something far deeper. Together. He shouted again, gripping his power tightly. But the question hung in the air like a guillotine blade, poised to fall. How much would they truly have to sacrifice to beat this fearsome darkness? The cyclone of shadows continued to whip around him, growing tighter, suffocating. Each breath became a battle, every inhale felt like inhaling shards of ice. The very air crackled with malice, buzzing with whispers of lost dreams and forgotten hopes. Listen. His friend shouted, breaking through the harassment of sound, trust the light. It's our only way. But the darkness laughed, a sound like splintering wood. You are fools, it hissed. Bleed hope into dust, and you shall find only anguish. With each mocking word, the ground beneath them throbbed as if the earth itself was writhing in agony. Faces flickered in and out, former allies trapped in sorrow, mouths twisted in despair. They reached for him, silently pleading as their forms began to meld with the shadows around them. No! He shouted, shaking his head fiercely and forcing his gaze away. He could not dwell on their suffering, not now. Remember who we are. His friend echoed, swinging a luminous hand toward the cyclone that threatened to envelop them both. The glow illuminated terrifying visions, memories darting past like fireflies, the nights of laughter, the bonds forged in adversity, their unyielding dreams suffocated by darkness. Right. He said, drawing strength from those cherished moments. We can't lose, not to this. The air shuddered, the shadowy cyclone swirling faster, dissolving yet another flicker of hope. But in that moment of sheer desperation, he recalled a spark from the past, a mantra they whispered during tougher times. Together, we're unstoppable. He channeled the fervor of their lost dreams against the chaos, his internal light roaring to life. The brightness surged, pushing back the shadows around them, momentarily stalling their approach. His friend mirrored the bright illumination, both of them radiating fierce energy that momentarily silenced the chilling howls. Yet the darkness was relentless. You're strong, it seethed, a glimmer of admiration laced with its threat. But can you protect what I take from you? I'm not afraid. He cried, defiance igniting his spirit. Whatever you think you can take, we'll hold on tighter. We won't let you win. In that instant, the ground beneath them exploded, a surge of black and crimson splintered away as the darkness retaliated, flinging images of their worst fears into their minds. A vision of their friendship shattered like glass, their memories skewed and warped. He saw his friend, alone and terrified, reaching for him only to be surrounded by shadowy figures. No! He screamed, the flames of his resolve flickering dangerously. The oppressive dread rushed in again like a tempest. His friend was weakening, the light in their eyes dimming, and he felt panic claw at his throat. Fight it! He urged, grasping his friend's arm while the shadows swirled dangerously close. "I can't, it's too much." His friend's voice cracked, fear slicing through the air with a razor edge. "Then we let it be. We are not just names on its lips. We are fire. We are light." The words seemed to give them momentary strength, their luminescence flickered back, but now the shadows moved more cunningly, weaving in tighter, daring them to falter again. The cyclone pulsed, dark nuances morphing into monstrous nightmares lurking just outside their vision, feeding off their doubt and dread. At that moment, a piercing glare struck through from above, exquisitely blinding. "It knows our deepest fears, but it does not own us," he roared, determination surging back. "Show it who we are." His friend shouted back, voice fierce despite the looming dread. Together, they thrust their combined light against the encroaching void, but would it be enough? As their energy pushed outward, the shadows hissed violently, recoiling in rage but reforming with pointed aggression. "Together we will prevail," he yelled, though doubt festered within. Yet, amidst the chaos, another thought pierced through the fear: what if there was something even more powerful within him, something he had yet to unleash? And as panic threatened to crush him anew, a terrifying question loomed: was there a part of himself he would have to confront to truly defeat the darkness? The revelation hovered like a sword about to drop, holding its breath in the silence. What if to defeat the shadows, he had to give up something far more profound than mere memories? The cyclone pressed on, ripping through their resolve with utter cruelty. Shouts morphed into eerie whispers, a nauseating chant that drummed against his skull. Each pulse of sound felt like ice against his skin, the shadows twisting and stretching, clawing for a foothold on his soul. "Think!" he shouted over the torment, grasping his friend's hand tighter. "We've faced worse. This is just another battle." But doubt nestled into him like a leech, feeding on his insecurities. The darkness thrived on their hesitation. It howled, mocking them, its voice a sinister echo in the abyss. "You think you can combat the truths that loom over you? Lies woven into your fabric?" Before he could respond, the shadows unleashed a torrent of white-hot terror. Terrifying images flashed before his eyes. A spectral figure of himself, empty-eyed, reaching into a void, seeking his lost light. Devastation surged within him. Was this his future? The vision spun inside, coiling tighter around his heart. "Fight it. Don't let it in," his friend shouted, but it was like trying to hold back an avalanche with bare hands. The shadows roared closer, a ravenous tide that felt like suffocation. With every second, the light they had kindled dimmed, flickering like a dying flame. "What do we do?" he yelled, his voice wavering, torn between fear and defiance. "We dig deeper," his friend gasped, their breath ragged. "Find the core. Where the light starts." Instinctively, he closed his eyes and focused inward, searching the whirling chaos for something, anything he could grasp that might anchor him. Memories flooded, turbulent and raw, moments of laughter, shared hopes, dreams that had shimmered under bright skies, but then creeping dread coiled into his heart. What if what he found was too much? "Don't think." His friend's firm voice cut through the haze. "Trust your heart. Let it guide you to your truth." He took a breath, then another, pushing past the rising tide of doubt. His heart pounded fiercely, a wild drum echoing amid the chaos. Suddenly, clarity struck like lightning. He could see threads of light woven through the shadows, delicate yet powerful. They throbbed with life, their vibrant glow competing against the encroaching darkness. But intertwined with the brightness were strands of fear and sorrow. "No," he whispered, horrified at the realization now piercing through him. The shadows were remnants of all he feared to face, his deepest regrets and vulnerabilities. "Are you ready?" his friend asked, voice shaky but resolved. He opened his eyes, staring straight into the maelstrom, now teeming with haunting specters, and nodded. "Whatever it takes. I want to be owned by this." Together, their lights ignited, a dazzling blaze that pushed against the suffocating shadows. He felt the weight of his inner turmoil a paradox, his fear and strength coiled tightly like a spring about to snap. Now! His friend urged, with a shout, he plunged into the shimmering chaos, grasping the threads of his existence. Memories of love, laughter, and pain swirled in a tempest of emotion, and for the first time, he faced them head-on. "Every hurt, every scar, it's part of me," he declared, the words erupting like flames of determination. Yet, as he embraced the tangled mass of his being, the shadows recoiled, each shriek of agony a testament to his burgeoning strength. But could he hold on? With every pulse of light, the shadows struck back, twisting and curling, desperate to suffocate his newfound courage. In that fierce moment, he felt a crack, a ripping sensation within him. Something fundamental shifted, the remnants of fear grasping for control. "No!" he shouted, but the darkness laughed. "What will you surrender to keep your light?" And in that horrifying instant, he recognized another terrifying truth. Sometimes, to conquer darkness, one must unearth their deepest truths. Would he dare confront them? A ghostly visage emerged from the shadows, shattering the moment, an image of someone he had lost long ago, their eyes filled with both sorrow and love. "Are you ready to face me?" it whispered, the words wrapping around him like a noose. His heart raced. He was no longer just fighting shadows. He was on the brink of confronting everything he had buried, and as reality twisted around him, he realized the next challenge loomed. Would the truth set him free or shatter him forever? The shadows grew heavier, swirling around him like a tempest. He could feel their grip tightening, sensing the desperation that pulsed in their dark tendrils. His thoughts raced, and memories collided in a kaleidoscope of horror and hope. "I have to face this," he reminded himself, each heartbeat drumming a steady rhythm of resolve. "Whatever comes, I will not let fear win." He stared into the silhouette emerging from the darkness. The familiar face, a haunting echo of loss, sent shivers down his spine. "You left me," the vision whispered, the tone tinged with sorrow. "You have to let me go." The words hung heavy in the air, piercing his heart. "I tried," he shouted, anger bubbling up. "I tried to keep you safe. I couldn't bear to lose you." The unrelenting pressure of his regret washed over him like cold water, and the realization dawned, holding on to this guilt was chaining him. "You cannot defeat the darkness with the weight of your guilt," the apparition said gently. "You can only find freedom by letting go." His chest tightened, the lump rising in his throat. In this moment, he felt more vulnerable than ever. The specter, a mirror of his pain, deserved release. Would he dare to confront the demons he had buried? His heart thudded painfully against his ribs, the fear of loss mingling with a deep-seated desire for redemption. "Letting go means I have to accept I lost you," he replied, raw emotion thickening his voice. The darkness pulsed around him, eager to snuff out the light. "But I don't want to, I can't." "It's not about forgetting," the vision urged, its ethereal glow flickering softly. "It's about honoring what we had, and freeing your heart from these chains." Breath caught in his lungs. A surge of determination broke through the despair. The shadows roared in response, each distorted face twisted with fury as if they could sense his change, feel the shifting tide. He gripped his friend's hand tightly, their light pulsed together, pushing back against the unforgiving black. "I'm ready," he declared, breathing deeply. "Ready to embrace the pain. Ready to step into the light and let you go." Together, his friend echoed fiercely. In that pivotal moment, a tsunami of warmth enveloped him as he began to release the ache that held him prisoner. The shadows writhed, shrieking in protest, but he closed his eyes and let memories flood his mind. The laughter, the smiles, the shared dreams, every beautiful moment was bright against the encroaching darkness. "Thank you for your light," he whispered into the depths. "Thank you for every second." With each word, he felt the burdens of grief peel away, lightening until they became whispers of acceptance. A brilliant glow ignited within him, stronger than before, and with a final surge of energy, he shouted, "I release you. I set you free." The ground quaked violently at his words, a fissure opening wide beneath the shadows, swallowing them into their endless blackness. The wails of lost souls crescendoed, a symphony of horror falling silent as light radiated from them, chasing away the darkness. Beside him, he felt his friend's strength bolstering his own. "If we can do this together, nothing will stop us." As the light grew brighter, it consumed the last remnants of the dark nightmare. The figures of despair shrank into nothingness, dissolving into the air, while the scream of the void faded into a whisper. The shadows were ripped away, leaving a calm silence sweeping over him, cool and freeing. He blinked, the veil of darkness lifting, and in that moment, hope surged through him like wildfire. Together, they stood there, pulsing with energy, the weight of dread had shattered into a lingering echo. Revitalized, he turned to his friend, sharing an unspoken understanding. They had emerged victorious, freed from the iron grip of their fears, but one thing remained: he understood what had been lost would never be forgotten. The essence of the past now infused with the light of the present would guide their steps forward. "Let us go home," he said, a sense of peace washing over him. As they began to move, the horizon dawned before them with an ethereal glow. With every step, he felt a new beginning unfurling a path laden with the beauty of healing. They walked, side by side, emerging from the haunted woods into the welcoming light of dawn. As daylight broke, Maple Street felt renewed. The haunting stories of the old woman, the lighthouse keeper, the figure in the woods, their hold had been broken. Residents emerged, blinking against the golden light, eyes wide with wonder, as if a fog had lifted. He turned to his friend and smiled. "We did it." Together, they echoed again, laughter spilling out like a long-lost melody, filling the air with life. And as they made their way through town, stories began anew, unfurling into the dreams that awaited them, interwoven with hope, laughter, and an undeniable light. The town had been reborn, much like the dawn that kissed its streets. This was just the beginning. You need to subscribe now to ensure you're part of this epic journey and don't miss out on the next exclusive stories coming your way. Smash that like button now to help feed the algorithm and spread the word about these thrilling tales. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this shocking finale. We want to hear from you. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this amazing conclusion. Let us make sure no one misses out on what happens next.